Okay, quick rundown if my video camera doesn't mess up and start getting us seasick by bouncing around. So this one has been dead for years, and it has the original receiver dryer from 1988. It was R12. I found that both the ports were missing, and there goes my video camera. Let me see if I could bang it and make it work again. Both my other cameras filled up the memory. There we go. Nothing like beating your apple. So both, yeah, sorry guys, it's not going to focus. Come on, focus here. Focus there. All right, you get blurry video. For you who are first time watching me, sorry, you're going to go, thumbs down. So unless I could get this thing to focus, hey, it likes it there, but doesn't like it far. Let's see if I could get the autofocus, auto lock. Nope, focusing definitely is not working. So, in those ports right there, the valve cores were missing, both of them, and the vehicle was sitting for years. So there was some sort of flush that was done on this. Supposedly something was done. And getting back to, this is the original dryer, and it's foggy up inside. You can't really say, it's not crystal clear, definitely super moisture contaminated. So I'll just run it for good enough to see that the compressor works, expansion valve works, and then drain it out and have them change the receiver dryer. This is going to go on a vacuum pump overnight because this is severely moisture contaminated. I have it pressurized up to 150 psi. I used my ultrasonic leak detector on it. Couldn't find anything on that one. They drain out all the time. They have so much rubber hose, they just drain out and go dry. It's just common. The bends. So this bends I've done before. Had a hard time. Finally found a leak last year, and I think it was this line right here. We replaced the line last year, the high side line, and it failed at the crimp, and there was dye everywhere. And so that was taken care of. And I was doing a pressure leak down test on it, and the refrigerant leak detector, where did I put my refrigerant leak detector? Okay, so the Stratus, using the Stratus, now for who you are not familiar with my videos and using a Stratus, all it can do was zero me in on an area. It let me know an area that was available, but even when I hit it on the less sensitive, I desensitized it, I couldn't really zero in on the exact point, but I got really close. So then it came in with 34 psi of refrigerant. With 34 psi, I could pick up nothing. So I pumped in vapor refrigerant, not liquid, and the ambient temperature would only let me get it up to, I think, 70 psi or so. I could start to pick up something, but not much. So then I back flushed it. I actually added nitrogen to get the pressure up to 150, 160. Then I could find a leak. So this leak only happens at high pressures, and at low pressures it shuts off. So then I was able to, the Stratus would pick up a leak from a distance, from about a foot away. And so I knew I got the leak open. So then the Stratus gets turned off because you can't center in on it, because there's, even on the lowest sensitivity, it would not go off. So then I break out the ultrasonic leak detector, and the ultrasonic leak detector, I have the earphones on. The ultrasonic leak detector, as soon as I get right about here, my ultrasonic leak detector would go off. When I'd move my ultrasonic leak detector right about in this area around here, it would really scream. It would go up to 6 or 8. So then I came in the front and moved in the front, and as soon as I got in, like right in the crack of that opening right there by the temperature sensor, it would go off. When I'd get over here, the leak detector would go off. So then what I had to do was come down here and open up this flap right here. And once I opened up the flap, I could zero in and find the leak. And let's see if we get right there where you can see the dye. You see it glowing a little bit because this has been out for several months and it's been through rain and everything. Then I found the leak at that fitting right there where you see my light, right at that fitting. All this was dry. There was no moisture to it. But when I put 150, 60 psi, all of a sudden that hose right there, the oil was seeping through the hose and up the linings and coming through the hose, and the hose became wet. But only as you approached 160 psi, not low pressure. Could not find this leak under low pressure. Then over here on the BMW, 2014 BMW, similar as this one, but this only had 3 psi. So this one, I pumped it up with just vapor refrigerant, could not find no leak. I pumped it up with nitrogen to 160 psi, could not find no leak. I started it up and tried to drive it high, could not find no leak. So this one is the more difficult one. Can't find it with UV, can't find it with ultrasonic, can't find it with electronic leak detector for refrigerant. So this one is going to get recovered, put on the vacuum pump, and filled up with dye and sent out. And the customer will be instructed to drive it for the next week or two, continuously leaving on the AC even in the rain if it rains. But you just adjust the temperature and your fan to your comfort, the cabin comfort, but you always leave the AC on, so you're constantly circulating the oil and the dye to help look for a leak later on, or you hope the leak opens up big enough so when the customer comes back you can find it that second time. They don't always leak all the time. As you can see, the dye when it's on a system, and you can see my fittings. My fittings are all covered in dye. So the Testarossa, the Mercedes, and the BMW, this will be a hose replacement. This I still have to fill up and test. Even though I already know the dryer is going to be replaced, this has been sitting for years. I at least need to put refrigerant charge into it so I can see the compressor and see if the shaft seal lives through it, see if any other leaks, see if the expansion valve is stuck in the closed position or open position because it's so moisture contaminated. Cut open the old receiver dryer, so when they take it out, put the new one in, before I even charge it up and start again, I cut out the bottom of the receiver dryer. You cut out the bottom and you look and see if it's all rusted inside. And if you see a whole bunch of rust flakes in the bottom of the receiver dryer, because you have those jerk off jackasses who use shop air to look for leaks, and they pump a bunch of moisture in the system and contaminate the system, and they can't remove it out with their vacuum pump. After a couple of years, it rots out the inside of the receiver dryer. All that rusty metal flakes off the walls, it falls to the bottom, it gets picked up the drip tube, travels out of the drip tube to the feed line, and goes directly and plugs up the expansion valve. And that's when you have assholes who think they're mechanics who use shop air to look for leaks. And that's about it. All right guys, I'll see you on the next one.